Speech therapy also covers feeding therapy for children who find it difficult to eat and drink foods. If you notice that your child is choking or regurgitating food often, or food or liquids are coming out of their nose, it is really important to discuss this with your GP and pediatrician. Community health will prioritize any child who's having feeding difficulties. So it is important to address this early because there are lots of helpful strategies and it is also a high risk problem. So please reach out if you are noticing your child having any of these difficulties. I'm now going to discuss 5 strategies or things that you can do now at home that will help improve your child's eating and drinking skills in a really naturalistic way, using research strategies that we know that work. Okay, the first thing you can do is have a routine. So that means certain meal times at certain times of the day. The best way to do this is to have 3 main meals and then 2 to 3 smaller meals throughout the day. Sit in the same area and with your child having the same chair and table so they're familiar with this routine and know where to go and what happens when they're there. This sets up success. Ensure that your child's chair is the right size for them. We want them to feel comfortable and relaxed, as meal times can go for sometimes 20 minutes. Make sure that their feet are on the floor or that they are anchored to a stool if they're on a high chair. This will enable them to feel not only secure, but it'll stop them feeling fatigued if their legs are dangling. So that's one of the first things I notice when I go to people's houses, that the feet aren't supported. And of course, that 20 minutes was an approximate. If your child is showing that they're not interested after a certain amount of time or they'd like to move away, that's okay too. There is no enforced time and we don't force children to stay in an area if they're not comfortable anymore. The second thing is eat with your child. So we've talked about modeling and having children see and observe what you do as you are their main teacher. Did you know all children are born with an aversion or a fear of food? And this naturally subsides over time. So children may need to see a food 10 to 15 times, or sometimes even a lot more, before they'll even accept that. So when they're seeing you eat that food, they can see that it's safe and you're enjoying it, and they can smell it and they can see how you eat it and that you're generally having a good time with that food. So be serving the same food to your child as you do, obviously a lot smaller portions, and encourage eating that food just by you eating with them. There's no need to push or to have them eat a certain food at a certain time that you are, but just eating with them is research-based to help encourage your child to eat that food too. The third thing you can do that's research-based and really simple is to have smaller portions that are achievable or not overwhelming, shall I say, and you can divide that up into different areas on the plate. So many parents tell me that their child doesn't like food touching other food, or they're a bit resistant when they see their favorite food mixed in with an unknown food that they don't like or haven't seen before. So you can get bowls like this, plates like this that have separate areas where you can put some like bits of cheese, maybe mashed pumpkin, some shredded chicken, some cut up grapes, whatever you like, and then maybe something it's like a cookie or a bit of cake. So definitely separate the food. If your child is really resistant and only eating one food, don't mix anything else with that food because then it can become contaminated with the scary new foods. So keep that separate, have them eating that food, whether it be say mashed potato or fries, and just encourage new foods, just introduce new foods separately in a plate like this or in separate bowls. So you could have cut up blueberries in one bowl and then mashed potato in the other. So again, just providing that opportunity at each mealtime with no pressure to eat any particular food. The fourth thing is something that I see a lot with pretty much every parent, and it's okay. This is a very natural thing. A lot of people do this naturally, where they'll use bribes to encourage children to try new things. And there is some research to say, yes, that bribes do work, but we don't want to encourage this because it can set you up for failure down the track. So what we would really encourage instead is to present food and have the opportunity for your child to see it and try it if they like, but not to have that pressure there. So things like, if you eat this pumpkin, you can have the cake, sets up a power imbalance, and mealtimes become a little bit stressful. So we really want to avoid that and have, say, a little bit of cake and a little bit of pumpkin, and whatever your child eats, encourage that. Well done, you gave it a try, just in general. So don't pay particular attention to one food over another. Even if you feel like they do eat the pumpkin, you feel it's natural to go, yay, you ate the pumpkin, well done. Children will pick up on this and see that food is somewhat different. So treat all food equal. You can, if the child eats the cake and asks for more, you can always say there's no more cake. But if they ask for more of, say, a food that is going to be nutritionally beneficial for them, you can say, oh yeah, I did. I bought more bananas, and cut up a little bit more and pop it on their plate. So you can always add to or say no to different types of foods, but just ensure that it's a very neutral setting and encourage the attempt, encourage or reward them looking at foods and having fun and watching you, rather than eating a specific food a specific way and having that pressure. So we want to remove that completely, because we know that if it's removed, your child is more likely to try new foods and have an enjoyable time doing so. The fifth thing is quite simple. Avoid offering cordial, fruit juice, and soft drinks, as they're not necessary to your child's diet and are really high in sugar and sometimes even caffeine. So offer milk and water, and of course model that during your meal times where you're drinking the milk and the water, and always have water available for them throughout the day, whether it be in a cup or a bottle, and just encourage your child to have a drink if you feel that they may need one, and if they say no, that's okay too. So you could pop that little straw in there to kind of help with their coordination of drinking. That's a nice way for them to get lip closure and really practice moving their tongue and lips when they're using a straw. And it's also great to blow bubbles in. It's really fun, and it's a great skill for them to have. So try and phase out those drinks if you were using them before, and enjoy offering milk and water instead. And the last thing is, let your child know it's okay if they're not ready to try new food, or if there's a food on their plate that they don't want to eat or touch, that they don't have to. So you could offer, would you like a strawberry? And if your child pushes away or turns their head, say, that's okay. You could eat it yourself, or you could pop it back on their plate. If you find your child is really not coping well with having food they're not familiar with on their plate, you can have an all done bowl. So it's a bowl like this where they put food away that they don't want to try, or maybe the smell is overpowering for them and they don't want to have it there and it's kind of upsetting their mealtime experience. They can simply put that in the all done bowl, which is moved away from them, and keep their other food on their tray. So let them know that they have that option. A lot of parents will tell me their child will start throwing the undesirable food because they're trying to get it away from them. It may be sensory overload for them, or just a fear. So have an all done bowl and then let them know you support that and that it's okay. Again, you'll be modeling eating that food, so that child will still be having that exposure and seeing that it's a positive experience, and they'll be able to smell the food, see the food. But for their own preference, just make sure that you do offer an all done bowl so that they can have that choice to move that particular food away from them or off their plate.